is the mission of Montague Area Public Schools to educate and inspire all students to become motivated, articulate, productive, and successful citizens for today, tomorrow, and forever. Could I have roll call, please?
Dr. Unger? Mrs. Dahl? Here. Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Francis?
Here.
Mr. Weishausen?
Here.
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mrs. Wilson? Here.
Dr. Unger did let us know that she would not be here tonight as she is up in at an educational conference for MACE around special education.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
Moved by Scott, support by Brent. All in favor?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Support. Scott and Brent again. All in favor?
Yes. I'd also like to add a special thank you to Mr. Cottis and Mr. Smith for their many years of coaching for the district.
Now is the public comment portion of the meeting. Public comments will be accepted at this time. Each statement will be limited to 5 minutes duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board welcomes public comment but does not respond to citizens' concerns at its meetings. At the citizens' request and board's direction, the superintendent or designee will respond in a timely manner. The meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. It looks like we have one person that's signed up to speak. You can come forward, please, the microphone over here, and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Mariah Elliott, and I have 2 kids in the district. My daughter's a sophomore in the high school. Last year, on March 15th, she was granted an IEP. After the meeting, the teacher told me that she would be pulling Kayla to introduce herself to her and go over the IEP with her and pull her once a week out of her seminar class to offer her help and support. Those things never happened last year at all for the remainder of the year. She wasn't pulled once. She was not informed what was in her IEP. I was not ever given my hard copy of the IEP. There were things that were discussed and put on the board for her IEP that were not included. At the end of the year, I did talk with Mr. Erickson and Mr. Mulder. They had that fixed and the missing stuff was added. But I also wanted to talk about the environment in that building. You know, I feel like our teachers are setting an example, if you will. They are should be showing a non-hostile, non-bullying environment. They should not be singling kids out who they are very well have high anxiety, making scenes in hallways, lunchrooms, office, refusing to contact a parent when they were asked multiple times, and I mean like 6 to 9 times were asked to contact a parent. They refused. They even told administration that they were to not contact me. I just feel like that is showing our students that a hostile environment is okay, that bullying and all these things are acceptable. I am hoping this year that having had the IEP corrected and brought it to Mr. Erickson's attention that these things aren't happening, that will be corrected. But I just thought that I should take this opportunity to make sure that it is known that this happened so that if we go into next year and it continues to happen, it's not a caught off guard thing.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? If not, on the reports.
All right, on to reports. Superintendent comments. First, we have some new hires. Within the coaching ranks, Nikki Seymour will be the new JV volleyball coach, which is beginning tonight. She is a community member. Students in the district is also working in the community as well. She has had many experiences around volleyball since her playing days in high school. We also have Ryan Krause, who is a coach for the cross-country team, as an assistant coach for the cross-country team. He is currently a teacher in Muskegon Public Schools, and he is a former Air Force captain. Moving on to MHS graduation gowns, I do want to point out in your information there, it did not make the packet, but there is a new gown that the district is looking at for graduation. This would be a gown for all students. It is a new hood through Jostens. It is their new gowns that they are representing moving forward. And obviously, it is a large change within graduation, but this Mr. Hansen had brought it to me. So I thought I'd share with you. Obviously, with the collar, I think it creates a sharp look that many of the districts are moving forward with one gown in that component. Bond update. So, as many of you saw through the emails and through the news, the co-curricular bond did pass. It is official. They are currently getting signatures on the canvassers, but I did speak with the clerk's office today, and it is official that it did pass by 7 votes. So just an overall, there was 1,135 votes for yes vote for the bond, and 1,128 votes for no. So that was a 50.15% yes, 49.85% no. A total of 2,263 total votes casted. 1,563 of those were in Muskegon County, 700 of those were in Oceana County. Interesting enough, through all the registered voters of Muskegon County, for us anyway, the 3 major components within Muskegon County being Montague Township, White River Township, and the city of Montague, 2,061 votes were given out of the 6,052 registered voters. So around 34% of the registered voters actually voted on the bond itself. There were an additional 8 votes within Whitehall Township. We do have a small portion of Whitehall Township where there was 8 votes cast there as well. I do have breakdowns for each of the different components in Montague Township. It had 184 yes votes, 49.2%, 190 no votes at 50.8%. And White River Township, 249 yes votes, 50.92% yes, 240, 49.08 on the no side. Whitehall Township that I spoke of previously, there was 8 votes, 3 yes, 5 no. City of Montague, there was 229 yes votes at 55.31%, 185 no votes at 44.69%. In Oceana County, Clay Banks Township, there was 89 yes votes, 115 no. Grant Township, 189 yes, 237 no. Otto Township, 26 yes votes, 44 no votes, for a total of 304 and 396. I will be sending that in a spreadsheet in a Friday update as well, but just to give you a better idea, Stacy Brown and myself, the finance director, did start meetings already today. In this process, we met with RJ with PFM, who has been as PFM, they work for us as a district to make sure that we are getting the best financial advice throughout the process, and he kind of works for the district in that manner. We met through some timelines and things that need to be done, thus the email that came out today about a possible meeting on the 22nd for a brief one-item board meeting to make sure that we're moving through the process to get the best interest rate, being fiscally responsible for the district in that process. So moving forward, I'll also be meeting with Tower Pinkster, the architect group, and Winberg Construction, the construction manager, on Wednesday to start a process there and kind of create timelines and information. So I'll be sharing that out with you as well. I did want to also pay note, since the bond did pass, At previous board meetings, there was some concern around a bird within an area that we were looking at. In the process with our Thinkster, they do have civil engineers that will work through that process to make sure that no harm is being done within that process. Moving on to other committee dates. You do have a list of the committee dates. Please look at those before at the end of the week here. We'd like to put out all committee dates to everyone. I'd hate to put something out and then have to change them later. So just take a check at those to your best of your knowledge at this point in time, and we will send those out. Also looking at some transparency goals here for the district. In the process, the idea would be that we would have more sharing of the information here of the board and sharing out the packet publicly. Obviously, any person could FOIA that information and gain that through a request through the FOIA process. We often, if it is requested, we will just share that with them. But we will look for a process that we could possibly just have that for the public to view prior to and kind of incorporate it through some of our viewing technology. I'd like to put that as an agenda item on our future employee community relations meeting coming up. It was set prior to the September board meeting, but we might move that a week earlier based upon those in the committee to be there, but we'll check into that. Also looking at kind of a MAPS webpage or a board information. We kind of have that, but Brent has offered to look at some board profiles or videos that we could do within that process as well. And then, like I said previously, for our viewership that are not here at the meeting, we could have those agendas and information from the packet viewable on the screen as well. So please feel free to give me some feedback on that going into the employee community relation meeting. Also looking in full swing to the start of the school year. Moving here shortly, all administrator and many staff are back and furiously working to get things set and ready. We begin with staff on that August 22nd would be the new teacher staff. August 23rd would be the first full day PD for all staff. The Wednesday would be off with open houses at night. We are trying to accommodate the many individuals that are involved in the Oceana County Fair that end up having to take days off in that process. And that professional development is extremely important, with the second day of full PD being the August 25th time slot. We will then begin a half day of school on the 29th prior to the week of Labor Day moving forward. And that is it for Superintendent Comments.
New business. Is there a motion to approve the continuity of learning plan as presented?
So moved. Support.
Moved by Brent, support by Scott. Discussion?
So within the continuity learning plan, this is something that has been established. It was first established in the 2019-20 school year when COVID first struck school districts. Throughout that process, the ESSER $3 were federal dollars that were provided to school districts, and through that process, they linked that to the continuity learning plan. Both for the 1920, the dollars weren't there yet, but it was you had to have a plan through the 2021 and 2021-22 school years. And you had to link it to the ESSER $3 that we were receiving as a district. We as a district chose to spread that out for this year as well in the process to make sure that we could cover the staffing. And really the focus of this is that COVID provided a wide range of experience for our students throughout those 3 years. We anticipate that students will come to school in the fall with a wider range, an unusual range of competency levels, some being low where we saw last year, but some obviously the growth taking place. So these extra dollars that were federally put there, we put them out. We wanted to expand it over time to make sure that we can meet all those competency needs throughout the school year. This is something that has to be done throughout ESSER 3. It's not a choice by a district, but if you're using those dollars. Any questions on that?
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, is there a motion to approve the resolution to borrow $700,000 from local banks to meet general fund obligations?
So moved. Support.
Moved by Amanda, support by Cindy. Discussion?
This is our annual borrowing of funds for general fund obligations. So at the start of the year, before the tax collections actually come in, we use this borrow to meet all the expenses through the September and October months. This is the same dollar amount that we borrowed last year. We felt like we are getting close, but still feeling safe within this borrowing amount. Obviously, someday it would be nice if we never had to borrow, but in a process, this does make sure that we are there in the process. It allows us to still do things with the general fund budget. You get a general fund budget too high, and then we might not be meeting the needs of our students in that process. Just note that this is due, will be dated September 7th, 2022, on a delivery date of August 24th, 2023, and will bear an interest rate not exceeding 6%. So obviously with some concerns around interest rates and their risings, that would not be the case about that 6% per the note.
And this is something we do every year, right?
This is something we do every year. Just to cover the start of the year, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Because we do our collections at the fall time when they don't come in until the end of October, and then we have the summer taxes are coming in, and then we do the winter taxes. That makes us allow the financial support throughout.
Anything else?
I explained that all right, Stacy?
Yes, also we received no state aid payment in September. That's the big thing. We don't receive state aid in September.
Anything else? All in favor?
Yes.
All any opposed? Motion carried. Next up is to designate members of the board as voting delegate and as an alternate to represent the district at the MASB Delegate Assembly. I believe currently it is Dr. Unger and Ms. Francis.
So moved.
Has anybody talked to her, see if she was okay with that?
She's not here.
Well then, support.
I believe she is willing to do so.
Discussion?
This is annual vote for us as well. MASB Delegate Assembly. It does take place in Traverse City, but there is an alternate voting system if that is not going to work for people to go up and vote. I do not currently have the date specific, but we will make sure to get you. Yes. Yeah.
So Cindy would be the voting delegate, Amanda is the alternate, or vice versa?
No, Amanda's the delegate, I'm the alternate.
Unless you want to-
And I think, not speaking for Dr. Unger, but in the past, if anyone else is willing to do that role, I think she is more than willing to share that as well. We will put it either in the September, October to kind of go through some of those things if there's questions on how to vote for us as a school district. So it's really kind of a precursor for us as a district. We'll share what those are. If there's any strong viewpoints or stands on a situation, they give advice on how to vote through that process as well. But if any others are interested, and maybe it's not this year as you see how the process works, but in the future as well.
Anything else?
Okay.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next up is the consideration to approve the hiring of these teachers for the 22-23 school year as presented. Sarah Stahl as Spanish in the high school and Trent Felt as math in the high school. Support. Moved by Amanda, supported by Brent. Discussion?
Sarah Stahl was a Montague High School grad. She has a vast experience within higher education and diverse workplaces throughout the world around Spanish. She was a student teacher for Senior Christian and then took over the position as he left. And just side note, if you did notice, he is the Shelby Middle School principal now. So congratulations to him on that. But We have seen some growth throughout her, obviously with not having the experience at the high school level, but we did see growth throughout the school year. And then Trent Feltz is a Shelby graduate. He has had 5 years experience over at Newaygo Public Schools, and he is going to be a high school math teacher.
All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, is there a motion to approve the MESPA contract changes as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Scott,
Support.
support by Cindy. Discussion?
So first, I'd like to apologize on breaking this up so much within the support staff contract, but there are plenty of things that need to be done and looked at in this process. So obviously, previously we did support the fiscal raise for those individuals as we were trying to create those support staff positions, moving the bottom tier from $10.31 to $12 an hour, and then all those other positions matching that percentage increase. This is another caveat on that I wanted to get in front. So at the start of this school year, due to the health insurance or the vision and dental coverage in that component, that it would be there at the start of the school year. We are still negotiating, going through many different language changes and trying to make much more easy to read, readability within that contract, not only for but really, I guess, for the employees, but that allows for Krista Ham's HR specialist to really work through that process with the employees. So that's the reason why we're splitting it up the way that we are, but we wanted to make sure that this vision and dental coverage would be there for them at the start of the year. So it is through the same vendors. It would actually match the administrator coverage within this, both for vision and dental. The big things are the co-pays. It used to be at $6.50, where this new one would be at $0. You can see contact and frame allowances for the vision. There was co-payments for lenses and progressive co-payments for lenses, and then progressive lenses were not covered at all, where this would then cover that at 100%. We're trying to find ways to find more support staff. Obviously, it is districts across the state are struggling within this process, so we want to make sure that this is another thing. You could also see in the dental, previously districts would pay either the 50 or 80%, depending on the number of the position and the hours worked, where this district would be 100% for a single subscriber. It would be 50% for a two-person or family coverage, as long as there's there for 30 hours a week. District pays 100% of single subscriber coverage for all employees who work under 30 hours a week. And as you can see the difference, it's basically that 50%, which no one really was not no one. There was minimal people taking that dental plan just due to the 50% coverage, where this would be then at the 80-20 as all members within the district are at. And that is all I have.
Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next up, is there a motion to approve the Muskegon County Virtual Academy course catalog for the grades K through 12?
So moved.
Moved by Scott,
Support.
support by Cindy. Discussion?
So MCVA, the Muskegon County Virtual Academy, it's a collaborative effort amongst Muskegon area intermediate school districts and the underassigned constituent districts, such as ourselves, to provide 100% online educational options for students and their families. So per state law, we have to have that opportunity of 100% virtual option for students K-12. Previously, we would work through other companies in that process, or you may see the many advertisements of different things of schools that are connected to school districts throughout the state. So there would be, as a virtual option, they would go to Berrien Springs or Manistee through the virtual and still stay within the district. This was something that we as a county were working on prior to COVID. Obviously it went quicker and was fully established during the COVID school years. So this is the course catalog. It was not ready at the point of time when we approved the other catalogs, but the MCA will primarily use Stride K-12 curriculum. It's grades K through 12. 6-12 will use a learning management system called Bright Space. K-5 will students will access curriculum and instructional materials through that same Stride K-12. K-5 students will enroll in classes of literacy, math, science, and social studies. 6-12 students will enroll in a maximum of 5 courses per semester, including electives. We as a district do feel that the opportunities we provide in person is the best option for our students, but we understand that all students are different learners as well, so this is an option that we can work through. We also have, through our credit recovery and ingenuity process, that we work as well. This is just the course catalog.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carried. And lastly, the first reading of Neola Policy, Volume 36, Number 2.
So, the February updates here to the board, very small updates, unlike some past policies. But there, you could, just going through, there are 5 different policies there. The first one is a new policy, 1616, which is a new policy for dress code for administrators. There was not previously a policy for dress code for administrators. So this does follow that. Obviously, it was for professional support staff and students, a dress process. Well, this now is in the policies for administrators as well. 5511 is a revised policy of dress and grooming. This would be of the student policy, and within the student policy, it is taking out, language has been added to state what is legally required with regard to enforcing the dress code in a non-discriminatory uniform manner, and taking out himself or herself and just stating it as student. And the third policy there, policy 6110, links to grant funds. And within the grant funds, this policy has been revised to include the latest changes to the Education Department's General Administration Regulations, also known as EDGAR. Specific requirements for maintenance of effort, or MOE, and maintenance of equity, equity, will need to be documented and provided at the time of audit of specific funded programs, such as the ESSER and the GEAR. So that's obviously the ECOL is part of that for the ESSER funds that were being used. The fourth policy, the 6114, very similar, and 6325, which is the spending of federal funds, federal grants, and funds. These policies have been received to include the latest changes to the EDGAR, also known as Educational Department General Administration Regulations. Specific prohibitions regarding costs incurred for telecommunications and video surveillance services or equipment are included, along with the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage provision for contracts in excess of $2,000 related to construction, alterations, or repairs. So this is all information and being more specific for our auditors that come at the start of every school year for the previous year spent. Any questions? This is the first reading, so please definitely make sure we're taking a closer look on this as well, and that the next board meeting will be our second reading, where we will then put it into our policy. These were not changes necessarily that we as a district put in. They were very simple. I guess in some regards, sometimes there is choice within that process in there. Policy committee members, anything else you'd like to add in that process? It was pretty clear cut. Yeah. Okay.
Good?
I am good.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Cindy. Support by Brian. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Please, just a couple of those notes, make sure you look at some of those dates, the graduation calendar. If there's any comments or anything else on the superintendent comments, please let me know.
Do we need anything like that?
No, you can keep those. You can keep those.